Someone you love is gone. The body is there, but the person is not. And the first thing you feel, before the grief, before the tears, is a strange, helpless confusion about what to do next. You don't know what to do with your hands. You don't know what to say. You don't know what happens now. That feeling is older than you think, far older. And the answer to what you do next was figured out long before you were born, by people who had no language, no religion, and no concept of an afterlife. What ancient humans actually did when someone died will change the way you think about grief, ritual, and what it means to be human. The first thing to understand is that death was not a private event for your ancestors. It never was. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans lived in small bands of 20 to 50 individuals. Everyone knew everyone. When one person died, the whole group felt it. The whole group had to respond. There was no option to close a door and process it alone. Archaeologist April Nowell has spent years studying early human behavior and burial evidence, and what she found reshaped what scientists thought they knew about early cognition. The evidence suggests that Neanderthals, not even modern Homo sapiens, were already treating their dead with intentional care at least 60,000 years ago. At Shanidar Cave in Iraq, researchers in the 1960s found a Neanderthal burial that appeared to contain pollen from flowers. The interpretation was explosive. Had someone, 60,000 years before you were born, laid flowers on a grave? The debate about that specific burial continues. But what is no longer debated is that Neanderthals were deliberately placing their dead in specific positions, in specific locations, with specific objects. Something was already happening. Something intentional. Something that looked, from a distance, almost like what you would do. Your brain is wired to treat a dead body as a problem, not an emotional problem, a biological one. The human threat detection system does not turn off when someone familiar stops moving. It upgrades. A still body, to your nervous system, is a signal that something dangerous happened here. Your heart rate climbs, your senses sharpen. You scan the area. This is not grief. This is threat assessment. And it is the exact same response your ancestors had 300,000 years ago when a group member died. The body was not just a loss, it was a danger signal. Something killed this person. Something might still be nearby. So the first response was practical. Move the body away from the group's sleeping area. Get it downwind. Cover it with rocks or branches to prevent predators from being attracted to the smell. This was survival, not ceremony. But here is where the counterintuitive twist lives. Ceremony grew directly out of practicality. The covering of the body became a ritual. The placing of the body became a rite. Necessity became meaning. That transformation from function to ritual may be the most fundamentally human thing that has ever happened. Paleontologist Lee Berger and his team made headlines in 2023 with findings from the Rising Star Cave system in South Africa. Deep inside the cave network, in passages so narrow that team members had to exhale to squeeze through, they found the remains of Homo naledi, a small-brained hominin that predates modern humans by hundreds of thousands of years. And those remains appeared to be deliberately placed, not dragged there by predators, not washed there by water, placed, arranged. The tools found nearby suggested intentional deposition. This was not a creature with the brain size typically associated with abstract thought. And yet something, some impulse, drove it to treat its dead differently than it left its food scraps or its tools. The question of why has no clean answer. But the fact that it happened forces a rethink of when human-like behavior actually began. When modern Homo sapiens arrived, the relationship with death became more elaborate. The burials at Sungir in Russia, dated to around 34,000 years ago, show something that stops researchers in their tracks. A man buried with thousands of hand-carved mammoth ivory beads. Two children, laid head-to-head, surrounded by artifacts that would have taken someone an estimated 10,000 hours to produce. 10,000 hours of work. For people who were dead. This was not survival behavior. This was grief behavior. This was love translated into labor. These were people who believed, or needed to believe, that the work they did for the dead meant something. And here is what that tells you about your ancestors. They already understood that a person was more than a body. They already intuited that something continues, A name, a memory, a status, an obligation. The burial was not for the dead. It was for the living. It told everyone in the group, this person mattered. Their life had weight. Their death has consequence. The ceremony was a social contract performed.
वीडियोस बनाने हैं, फिल्मोरा है ना।